Hi class, good afternoon. I hope that you're having an excellent day. In this video, we are going to check the last part of the stage 3 that is called sustainability. For this class, I have some instructions for you. Please open your notebook and try to take notes about the information that you will see. I will let you know how do you have to consider your notes in your notebook in order to have the same information as all the classroom. So let's see. Okay, at this moment, we have learned that the sustainable development is this development that leads to meet the needs of the present generations without compromising the possibilities of the future generations to meet their own needs. We know that 4 meetings have strengthened the sustainable development. We also learned the different principles, the dimensions about the sustainable development, and we have analyzed the different purposes of these. Now, let's talk about the instances and organizations that promote sustainable development in the international framework and evaluate and create spaces for agreements between nations. Next, we are going to mention these organisms to briefly describe their functions. Okay, so please in your notebook, you have to copy this first paragraph. And now we are going to list those organizations. First, the Organization of the United Nations, the UN. This is the international instance that marks the policies in the world regarding sustainability. The the United Nations Organization is the world body that governs the world policies on sustainable development. And there we can see that there are some other organisms that collaborate with the UN. High-level political forum on sustainable development. It was founded as a result of the 2012 United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development that was the Rio Plus 20 to succeed the Commission on Sustainable Development established in 1992. One of their functions is to convene meetings every year to the government cabinets of the countries. There, we have the Intergovernmental Group of Experts on Climate Change, the GECC, group of academics and scientists who study and carry out scientific research regarding climate change. The United Nations Forum on Forest was formulated in 2000 with the purpose of renewing the commitment between the member countries to regulate and conserve the world's wooded masses. We also have some other organizations like the UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program. Its main task is to promote and coordinate the participation of the governments of nations in the world to safeguard the natural heritage. The UNESCO, that is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, contributes to strengthening and fostering sustainability education in all nations, such as the quality of education and social conditions. Then we have the FAO. It provides technical assistance to countries that request it so that they can meet international commitments based on their priorities and the international scenario. The World Health Organization is the entity responsible for advising and influencing countries to have policies that guarantee and safeguard a healthy life for all people. The UNICEF is the United Nations Children's Fund. They strive to intensify policies that protect both boys and girls. They also promote that this sector has a safe, sanitary, and healthy environment. The OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has become a space that allows sharing experiences to see what are the best strategies to lead society to prosperity through development, sustainable economic, scientific innovation, and social cooperation. Okay, so given the challenges of sustainable development in the international agreement, there are different administrative bodies that came together to review and reformulate the frameworks of public policies in the international order in order to guide the capabilities of nations in the world. Okay, so now that we have checked all those concepts, the organizations, the principles, the different sustainable development cases that have happened in Mexico, let's conclude. Okay, so conclusions. Sustainable development. This is the development that allows to meet the present need without compromising those future generations. We know that the sustainable development concept was first presented in 1987 in our Common Future Report, where they talk about this type of development that was only referred to pollution and the increase of population. We know that the sustainable development has different principles. The precautionary, interdependent, efficiency, balance, and comprehensiveness. Here we can see that those are highly relevant and we must know to improve as a human society and observe the transformative power of sustainable development. The dimensions that are the ecological, the social, and the economic. And those are also related to the principles, and those are combined. And well, with this information, we can conclude the information about the sustainability. Now, as you know that when we finish the information and the explanation, we have to continue with the requirement activities. So now I am going to show you the document that I have uploaded for you in the files section and that you can also download now, where you have to include all those activities. Let's start. Okay, so this is the document that has the cover and also the instructions for the requirement activities. Here I have separated the information and I have organized them with the instructions. So please do not change anything and do not eliminate instructions because this is the way that I will evaluate this, okay? So week one, step one, and this is the part that we're about to complete now, okay? Let's now continue with that. Okay, so week one, asynchronous session. In your notebook, you have to copy the instruction plus the letter and the different activities that we have to develop. It says, step one, access to Nexus platform to the Ethics, Sustainability, and Social Responsibility course in the structure diagnostic evaluation of stage 3 section, and according to your knowledge, answer the diagnostic test. At this moment, you have already completed, and there you have the result. Please just take the screenshot and add it in the document with requirement activities. Step 2, read carefully the topics 3.1 and 3.2. Those were the ones that we check in the classroom, and well, some of the ones that you check in the videos, okay? And take notes of the main ideas. The notes have to be in this part. The step 3 is the one that you have to copy in your notebook, okay? Step 3. Please, this part has to be in your notebook with the date because I would check it as soon as I get to the classroom. Based on the previous reading, do the following, and we have to define the term sustainable development, okay? Add this information. Development that leads to meet the needs of the present generations without compromising the possibilities of the future generations to meet their own needs. Then in the letter B, it says, how did the concept of sustainability arise? List in chronological order the meetings and agreements that have been done on the subject. Okay, so we know that there were 4 meetings, okay? If you want to add the information or list the different meetings, you can do it. In my perspective, that would be better if we organize information in this way, okay? So year, we have 1972, 1992, 2002, and 2012. 1992. What is the name of the meeting? It was United Nations Conference on Human Environment, and we know that it was held in Stockholm, Sweden. The agreement that they signed after that was our Common Future Report, where they first introduced the concept of the sustainable development. In 1992, the countries met again because they considered it was pertinent. They also met to have different agreements on the information that the report involved, and they called the meeting Earth Summit. It was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and they signed the Agenda 21. That was the agreement that they signed. And with this Agenda 21, they had a plan to promote sustainable development in the world. In 2002, the countries met again in the World Summit on Sustainable Development in Johannesburg, South Africa. Then they didn't sign an agreement, but they pledged to financially support the poorest countries in the world to guide them towards sustainable development. In 2002, the countries met again in the Rio Plus 20 Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where they signed and they published the future we want. We know that they also talk about the sustainable development goals that came into force in the year of 2015. And that's the information that we have to have in the letter B. Okay, so in the letter C, it says, is it the same to speak of supportable development as it is of sustainable development? Argue your answer. Let me tell you that the difference of those concepts is the translation. And also there are some characteristics of each one. Let me show you this. If you want to include more information, that's perfect. Okay, sustainable development. It is maintained for a short time, while the supportable development can be kept for a defined time. The sustainable development is referred to the conservation that is sought through the rational use of natural resources. The supportable development states that care is taken that natural resources are not depleted so that the productive system can function. The sustainable development proposes a change in the production, consumption, and distribution of the natural resources, while the supportable development considers that the economic aspects are taken into account so that it can last over time. Okay, then we have to describe the principles of sustainability. We know that we have the precautionary, the interdependence, efficiency, balance, and integrality. Here we have to add the name of the principle and also describe the information or the concept. The precautionary, it is said that given the ignorance of the effects of a human activity, it is preferable not to carry it out. The interdependence, it states that not event in the natural or social environment is independent or happens in isolation. On the contrary, all events are interconnected. The efficiency principle is referred to the natural resources, and it describes that they have to be used in such a way that their depletion or disappearance is avoided. The principle of balance states that the effect of human activities should not exceed the capacity of regeneration of natural systems. And the integrality principle states that we have a holistic version to observe the possible synergies between the elements of a social or natural system, and thus determine the possible effects. In the letter E, we have to mention and describe the dimensions of sustainability. It says social dimension, economic dimension, and ecological dimension. The social dimension involves carrying out a development that meets all people's needs, aiming to eradicate poverty and achieve social equity. The economic dimension implies actions aimed at the efficient and fair management of natural resources between and within the generation of human beings. The ecological dimension demands a development that is not harmful against the natural environment, nor that threatens biological processes and biodiversity. This was the step 3, okay? And those were the exercises that we had to complete in the step 3. Now, let's continue with the step 4. It says, based on the previous points, describe the difference between the weak sustainability and the strong sustainability. First, we know that the weak sustainability is referred to the natural resources, such as those created by human beings, can be substituted. The emphasis is in the economic dimension. And it says that if either of them were exhausted, there would be another that would meet the need of people and continue sustainable development. We know that some of the natural resources are fossil fuels, biodiversity, and economic ecosystems. And the resources created by human beings are the infrastructure, work, and knowledge. The strong sustainability states that the natural resources cannot be substituted. They are essential to preserve life on the planet. The difference of the weak sustainability and the strong sustainability is the emphasis, okay, on the natural resources. The step 5 says that we have to make a table in the notebook in which we have to describe the name of the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, and their function. Okay, so please write down a table where you include them all. First, the end of poverty. Its function is to end poverty in all its forms throughout the world. Number 2, zero hunger. This is about end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture too. And number 3, it's about health and well-being. And its function is to guarantee a healthy life and promote well-being for everyone at any age. The number 4, it's referred to the quality education. Its function is to ensure an inclusive, high-quality education that provides learning and lifelong learning opportunities for everyone. The number 5, it's gender equality, and states that we have to achieve gender equality and empower our women and girls. The number 6 is about clean water and sanitation, where we have to commit the availability and management of sustainable water and sanitation for all. The number 7, it's about affordable and non-polluting energy, whose function is to guarantee access to safe, sustainable, and modern energy for all. The number 8, it's about decent work and economic growth, whose function is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Let's continue with the number 9 to 17. 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. It states that we have to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustained industrialization, and foster innovation. The number 10, it's about reduction of inequalities, whose function is to reduce inequality in and between countries. 11, it's about sustainable cities and communities. Its function is to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The number 12, it's about responsible production and consumption, whose function is to guarantee sustainable consumption and production habits. 13, it's about climate action, and it states that we need to take urgent measures to combat climate change. 14, it's about underwater life, whose function is to conserve and sustainably use of oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. 15, life of terrestrial ecosystems. Promote the sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, fight desertification, stop and reverse land degradation, and curb the loss of biological diversity. 16 is about peace, justice, and strong institutions, whose function is to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. And the last one, that is partnerships to achieve the objectives. The function here is to strengthen the means of execution and achieve the Global Alliance for Sustainable Development. Okay, so class, at this moment, we have also checked the week 1 asynchronous activities. So please complete them in your notebook. Follow the instructions and don't forget, do not eliminate instructions from the document with the requirement activities. This is going to be the way in which I will evaluate this, okay? So thank you very much. Have a great day. And if there are some questions, let me know.